So when Rich introduced me to some of your protocols, it was the 800-gram challenge that caught my eye because coming from the past couple of years being more meat based and it being no vegetables and it was almost
Mm.
sexy. I don't need to eat vegetables. All right, that's awesome. I can do that. Where do you think that comes from, and what do you think the problems can be if you don't have
Mm.
vegetables in your diet, and necessarily some of the fallacies that are, hey, vegetables are actually good for you and they're not bad for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think carnivore, I've seen other influencers or experts say this, and I agree with them that I think carnivore is going to go down as like the most harmful diet trend there is. I can be talked into a low carb keto so long as is enough plant matter and enough fiber in the diet. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it really is harmful from the standpoint of it's cutting out fiber, which I know is not an essential nutrient, but I would argue is an optimal nutrient. It's a way to optimize the food that you're having, largely because of its effect on your gut health. And of course, we're hearing so much about gut health and how it affects our immune health and all of these other aspects of our total health. So yeah, the lack of fiber. Also, when you cut out something like vegetables or fruit, you're limiting a great number of foods that provide us with the essential vitamins and minerals. So it's like, okay, we can't get around the fact that we need these essential vitamins and minerals. So let's go ahead and get them from a good source, which are going to be the fruits and vegetables. And then I'm not against saturated fat, but we do have evidence to suggest that yes, excessively elevating saturated fat does tend to, in some people, increase LDL cholesterol. And that is one of, not the only, one of the risk factors for heart disease. And so heart disease is our top killer in the US. And so again, I just don't see that there's any real benefit of it. And what I do see that a lot of people who do it, they're doing it for weight loss. Guess what? We can lose weight in a lots more sustainable and healthy ways than cutting out all of these foods that are quite healthy for us.
And could it also be too, like with anything, when you maybe aren't doing things you're way off the rails, whether it's your
Mm.
fitness or your diet, and then all of a sudden you start doing being a vegan or you start being a vegetarian or you start doing carnivore, you start doing CrossFit. It's just this new stimulus that elicits these kind of responses, but then maybe over time, that's where you start to see the pitfalls and things like that, where you maybe go back to try to right the ship and get back to homeostasis. And that kind of comes back to eating fruits and vegetables and eating balanced meals.
Yeah, I think you bring up a couple good points. I mean, the first is whenever we start a new diet plan, we tend to change other things in our life. We tend to get more into our workouts or get back to working out, or we tend to focus on sleep more because we're all jazzed up about this new diet program. So we just tend to have these other factors in terms of diet and lifestyle that we're also a little bit more keyed into. So how much of it is the diet and how much of it is just the motivation or adherence to other factors that are paying off in a positive outcome? And then, yeah, there could also be cases where people do actually lose some weight on, let's say, a keto or a carnivore type diet. And there are benefits of losing weight independent of the quality of the diet. And so in that case, in some case, it can be truly healthy for the person. But for most cases, it's not going to be sustainable. And we probably will run into some longer term health issues. I mean, the body is remarkably resilient. So you go on this 30-day carnivore thing. I mean, people think that they've found this new diet. It's like, I don't need to know about what happens in 30 days. I need to know what happens in years, a year, 2 years, 3 years. But unfortunately, like a lot of people don't take that frame of mind. And so you're right. Like, yeah, across the long term is when we're going to start to see some of these health effects because the body is resilient in these short little stints that people try these trendy diets. Thankfully, they mostly fail and then they realize it's not sustainable. So no harm, no foul. But yeah, I think that's ultimately what's going to come to light for some people who stick with it.